The book of Haggai is a short but powerful prophetic book found in the Old Testament of the Bible. It consists of only 2 chapters and is attributed to the prophet Haggai, who lived and prophesied during the time of the restoration of Jerusalem following the exile of the Israelites to Babylon. The book begins with a message from God to the prophet Haggai, instructing him to speak to Zerubbabel, the governor of Judah, and Joshua, the high priest, and the remnant of the people who had returned from Babylon. God's message to them is to rebuild the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem, which had been destroyed by the Babylonians. This rebuilding was supposed to be a top priority for the people, as it represented the restoration of their relationship with God. The people had initially started rebuilding the temple, but had abandoned the work due to opposition and other distractions. This had caused them to lose focus on their spiritual duties and had resulted in a lack of blessings from God. Haggai reminded the people that their poor harvests, economic struggles, and overall lack of prosperity were a direct result of their disobedience to God's command to rebuild the temple. Haggai's message was a call to action for the people to prioritize their relationship with God and to put rebuilding the temple at the top of their list. The people responded positively to this message and started working on the temple, encouraged by the fact that God was with them and had promised to bless their efforts. This is a powerful reminder that when we put God first in our lives, He will provide for us and bless us abundantly. Throughout the book, Haggai uses vivid imagery to warn the people about the consequences of their disobedience. He compares their lives to a bag with holes, signifying their inability to prosper and get ahead due to their neglect of God's house. He also uses the analogy of a vineyard to illustrate how the people's spiritual condition is like a neglected field that will not produce a good harvest until it is tended to. Haggai's messages were not just about rebuilding the physical temple, but they also had a deeper spiritual meaning. The temple represented the presence of God among His people, and the neglect of its restoration was a reflection of the people's neglect of their relationship with Him. Haggai was reminding the Israelites that the temple was not just a religious structure, but it was a symbol of their covenant with God and their commitment to obey Him. As the people worked on rebuilding the temple, they faced opposition and discouragement. However, Haggai continued to speak words of encouragement and reminded them of God's promise to be with them. He assured them that although the temple may not be as grand as it once was, it will be filled with God's glory and be a place of peace and holiness. One of the key themes in the book of Haggai is the concept of holiness. Haggai constantly emphasizes the importance of being holy before God, especially for those who were involved in the rebuilding of the temple. He reminds the people that holiness is not just about external rituals and ceremonies, but it is a heart condition that requires obedience and devotion to God. Through Haggai's messages, we see that God is a faithful and merciful God who always keeps His promises. He lovingly urges the people to turn back to Him and assures them of His presence and blessings. This message applies to us today as well. No matter how far we may have strayed from God, His love and grace are always available to us if we are willing to turn back to Him and prioritize our relationship with Him. The book of Haggai ends with a message of hope and restoration. Haggai delivers a prophecy about a future time when God will shake the heavens and the earth, signifying a time of great upheaval and change. This prophecy points towards the coming of Jesus Christ, who would fulfill all of God's promises and bring about a new era of peace and prosperity. In conclusion, the book of Haggai may be short, but it is full of powerful messages about the importance of obedience and devotion to God. It reminds us that when we put God first in our lives, everything else falls into place. We also see God's love and faithfulness through His constant reminders and promises to His people. The book of Haggai serves as a reminder to us to continually examine our priorities and ensure that our relationship with God remains the most important aspect of our lives.